r/AskReddit. What is something you quit as a kid and now wish you continued? Staying in shape. Luckily this is one you can start any day. You'll see results in just weeks if you keep at it. Yes, you are correct. I did restart my intermittent fasting Monday. I previously lost 50 pounds on it, then COVID hit, and I was in a FD up place, gained 30 back in like 3 months. Back on track, tired of being miserable, because of alcohol and food. Last night I went to bed sober, for the first time in years. That was hard as fuck. But I'm on my way. Thanks for the encouragement. Edit, clarity. Reading books. I would get so absorbed into them, and I was doing well in school due to it. I regret stopping it. I had the same thing. Once I was forced to read, it was less fun. But I just told myself one day that I'm gonna read for 10 minutes before bed each night, and also installed an app called Streaks to remind myself and track that I read. Almost 2 years in, I've only missed maybe 10 to 15 days of reading. The first hurdle though is getting back into it. Try reading a book you loved as a kid. It'll be a nice, easy read and will bring you right back. Track and field. I found out later in life that I love running. It's annoying that most track meets are geared towards youth. Not everyone finds road racing enjoyable/suitable to their body type/cost effective. Fortunately there are a lot of meets open to older athletes. You just have to be okay doing it for your own purposes. Doesn't matter how the other athletes, much older and much younger, are performing in your heat. You're doing this for you. I used to write stories constantly. I got discouraged when a family member I looked up to told me they were silly and no one would ever buy them. When I was a kid all I wanted to be was an author. Now I'm 40 and have had writer's block for decades. Edit, you all are an encouraging bunch. Thank you, sincerely. And for those struggling along with me, I know it's not easy. I hope we all succeed in getting that magic back. Dang, that sucks. I don't think adults sometimes realize how devastating their words can be to kids. I would encourage you to try picking it up again for fun. No pressure, free writing. Maybe you can reopen your creative vault. I'm a firm believer that creativity can be buried, but never fully destroyed. Do it for just you though, not for others, or for the purposes of get published. Just learn to imagine again, and give yourself that freedom. But again, no pressure. Piano. I'm competent at other instruments, but I wish I had kept up with it. So versatile. Definitely this. And all because my mom was such hard-ass disciplinarian about it. I really liked it at first, and was really good, and eventually it basically became a punishment. You will come directly home from school and you will play that damn piano, and by the time I get home, if that song isn't perfect you can forget about the sleepover Saturday. There were nights that I'd be sitting there in tears, shaking, terrified because a song I was assigned was too difficult and my mom would be there screaming in my ear what a lazy embarrassment I was. In my early teens I was given the choice to keep going or not, and it was the easiest decision I ever made. Thanks for ruining a healthy hobby and the lifetime of anxiety, mom. Being confident. As a child, I had my head held high and cannot be bullied by anyone because I was so comfortable and acceptable of myself. Current me is so marred with teenage emotional scars and issues that I can barely see my younger self in me anymore. Edit, I have struck a chord to a lot of people. Sorry for calling you out with this lol. But on a serious note, thank you for the encouragement and kind words. I'm in a way better place compared to 10 to 12 years ago. I hope everyone also gets the closure we deserve. If not, I hope everyone knows that they are not alone in the journey. Reading full books in a day. This is so underrated. I've read about 650 pages of sci-fi books in the last 2 weeks because I finally decided to just sit down and read them. It's still not enough though, and I have like another 2,000 to 3,000 pages that I want to read over the weekends when I have a chance. Reading a book in one day is such a privilege, and one of the only great things to come out of this pandemic. Boy Scouts. My parents made me wait until I completed my Eagle to get my driver's license. I was pissed at the time, but I'm glad I did it. I had a salty retired Marine grunt as a scout master. He was fond of saying that he pushed us hard so that we got our Eagles and got out before the gas fumes, and perfumes started getting to us. I learned a lot of valuable life lessons from that man, and I'm forever grateful for the insight he passed on in his gruff way. Ice hockey. It just sucks how expensive it is to keep a growing kid geared up when they need new equipment every 6 months. That's not why I quit. I quit because I wasn't really enjoying it, but now I realize that I probably would have ended up enjoying it more. Story time. I, 21 meters, quit when I was around 10. I just picked it back up a year and a half ago. Currently going into my senior year and will be trying out for my school's hockey team. Just get back into it. Most local rinks have men's leagues and you never really forget how to skate. Guitar. I put it down after a decade of playing. Wasn't a kid and now I suck at it. I would have thought that guitar would be muscle memory to a degree, especially after a decade of playing. I have no problem playing 90% of what I already knew, but it just comes out as a sloppy mess. Imagine going a decade without driving a car. You wouldn't forget how to drive, but when you got behind the wheel you'd feel really uncomfortable and reluctant. Edit. I play drums and have guitars sitting around the house, so I still pick one up every few months to remind myself how much I suck. Saying no. Apparently I was quite an obstructive child who made every task very difficult. Never a fussy eater, but doing things with me was generally a battle of wills, I'm told. Now in my late 30s and with kids, I find I no longer say no when people ask something of me. It doesn't hurt me in my personal life because the people I help have earned the support. I'm constantly getting burned in my professional life though as I watch others reap the rewards of the results of my effort. You know how you tell your kids no to things so that they have a protective nest built out of rules? You need that too. Saying no did not hurt your children, and it will not hurt your friends or colleagues. I quit singing and voice lessons because my choir teacher was blatantly playing favorites and it was starting to make me depressed. People in my class who sat through my auditions and even one of the girls from the group I auditioned for would compliment me on my voice, but I never got picked for anything. My voice coach, that my teacher suggested I go see, tried to keep me from quitting, but after auditioning for things for all 4 years in high school and getting rejected over and over, I just didn't have it in me anymore. Dang, I'm really sorry to hear that. And the fact that you kept persevering for 4 years shows how much you loved it. Adults that kids look up to, or who have authority, or both, like your teacher, don't realize how many dreams they're crushing, or maybe they do, and couldn't care less. Either way, you deserve better, and I hope you get your chance, if that spark ever lights up in you again. Just after high school, a girl talked me into volunteering as a firefighter with her to go on medical calls. I was premed at the time. She moved away before we got in, but I did it for a few years and loved the fireside just as much as the medical. Then life intervened and I moved away for college and ended up going a different then into project management. Just recently I was able to work remotely, pre-COVID, and since my wife wanted horse property we moved out pretty rural, still good internet. One of the upsides, another being cost of living, while making city salary, was that I could volunteer again. I had forgotten just how much fun being a firefighter is. Over the last year and a half I have gotten my structural firefighting 1/2, wildland firefighting 1/2, EMT license, hazmat R&O, and vehicle rescue tech certificate. If I could go back, I would have dropped all the school and did stuff and just gone paramedic/firefighter. I wouldn't have made as much money, but would have a good retirement and just a really rewarding career. Drawing, since I was pretty good for my age and drew all the time, but I quit because I found out I was colorblind. Skateboarding, I practiced 2 hours every day on the kickflip and ollie for weeks, and despite getting better and almost accomplishing a kickflip I quit. Many years later I found out the board I used was heavy board that was mainly used for transportation, not tricks. I used to ride horses really well. I was very natural on horseback, and it was really the only sport I was ever any good at. But it's very much a rich person's hobby, so I just couldn't afford it as I got older. I'm thinking about going back to it though. There's a place near me that teaches horseback archery and that just seems like the coolest hobby in the world. Animating. It was so exhilarating when watching the end product and making my family watch it too. So many inspiring YouTuber animators. Anyone remember Thacklif series? Alan Becker? Hi and Ojo. One day I spent a little too much time on the family computer, and I was scolded for wasting my time on animating instead of studying. I compared the YouTuber's animation to mine, and thought what's the point anyways, I'll never get that good. I cried and raged like a baby, and stopped animating cold turkey. I'm not animating today, because I'm older and tbh I'm fear returning to it BC, it's so daunting. But I'll never forget those 1x1 frames, and watching tutorials from guys animating on stags. I'm done now, lol, and a little sad. Dancing. I had really good abs when I did it. Even though I hated it, I like to think it would have grown on me. Edit. Just thought of this, but also piano. I was really good for my age and it definitely could have gotten me far. I just got bored of it, I guess, and I also didn't have time to balance practicing it in my sport. I play another instrument, but I'm not nearly as good considering my age. I was placed in the gifted class in 4th grade. Only a few days into it, the teacher gave us math problems that normally weren't taught until 6th grade at my school. The other kids had been in the class longer than me and had already learned it. Nobody bothered to explain it to me. I thought I was stupid for not inherently knowing it without being taught. I begged my mom to let me drop out, instead of explaining that the other kids had to learn it at some point and that I was capable of learning it too and was allowed to ask the teacher for help. My mom yelled at me for giving up on everything. I wish she'd made me stay in the class. Playing ice hockey. When I was younger I was in my prime. I lead our team in goals and I was an excellent winger. I stopped playing at 16, and it was because it went from a bunch of camaraderie and friendship to a huge I have more money than you game when it came to the parents in the bleachers. I came from a small country town where we were known for football and no other sport. I drove an hour and a half into the city for the team I played, so it was a culture change. I played with used equipment all my life. I had the same fucked up pads since I was 13. My mom gave the organizations an arm and a leg for me to play, while she was a single mom working as a nurse. I was happy that I was on the ice. She was happy that I was happy, and that was it. And I'm forever grateful that my mom gave me those amazing years of my life. The parents who drive brand new Cadillacs and Mercedes would actually shit on me and my mom to our faces about how dingy my equipment is and that I need new skates, constantly bragging about their husband's success in a medical field or how he won a bunch of money at horse races. It was completely toxic. We decided to leave the organization, and I look back on it now thinking that if I were to stick around, I could possibly be playing D1 college or amateur hockey for like the ECHL. I was even hoping I could make it into the minors at some point.